is Fred Korematsu. Fred Korematsu, age 23, was a Japanese-American citizen who did not comply with the order to leave his home and job. Despite the fact that his parents had abandoned their home and their flower nursery business, preparation for reporting to a camp, Korematsu planned to stay behind. He had plastic surgery on his eyes to alter his appearance, changed his name to Clyde Serra, claimed that he was of Spanish and Hawaiian descent.
FDR signed Executive Order 9066, empowering the U.S. Army to designate areas from which any or all persons may be excluded. He later formed the War Relocation Authority to establish 10 permanent camps, housing nearly 120,000 Japanese Americans, mostly from the western United States.
So what happened? Korematsu decided to not leave, even after Executive Order 9066. On May 30th, 1942, about 6 months after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, the FBI arrested Korematsu for failure to report to a relocation center. The Supreme Court ruled that the evacuation order violated by Korematsu was valid. It was not necessary to address the constitutional race discrimination issues in this case. Korematsu's attorneys appealed the trial court's decision to the U.S. Court of Appeals, which agreed with the trial court that he had violated military orders. Korematsu asked the Supreme Court of the United States to hear his case. But on December 18, 1944, a divided Supreme Court ruled in a 6-3 decision that the detention was a military necessity, not based on race. In addition to its historical significance, the case had great legal impact because it was the first time the court created a separate standard of review for a law utilizing a suspect's classification, stating that laws which discriminate on basis of race are immediately suspect and must be subjected to the most rigid scrutiny. After some time, Korematsu, but mainly Japanese Americans, started getting apologies.
No payment can make up for those lost years. So what is most important in this bill has less to do with property than with honor. For here we admit a wrong. Here we reaffirm our commitment as a nation to equal justice under the law.
In 1998, Fred Korematsu was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom because the government felt bad for what had happened since it wasn't right. Almost 50 years later, their government cleared Korematsu's name and now it's spoken with those of other civil rights leaders.
He waited more than 40 years for justice when a federal court overturned the judgment that the Supreme Court first upheld against him. A man of quiet bravery, Fred Korematsu deserves our respect and thanks for his patient pursuit to preserve the civil liberties we hold dear.